3 months after my husband passed away, I discovered something that shook me to my core. My own nephew had legally taken control of my property while I was still grieving, using documents with my signature, notarized and completely official. At first, I couldn't believe it. Betrayal by family is almost impossible to imagine, especially when you've trusted them for decades. The signs came slowly, in subtle ways. Rent payments stopped arriving. Phone calls went unanswered. I dismissed it at first, hoping it was a temporary delay. Then the tenants themselves told me what had happened. My nephew had introduced himself as the new owner and instructed them to pay him directly. I sat in my car, staring at the house that had provided me stability for over 15 years, stunned and shaken. I was 62, exhausted, and completely in shock. And yet I didn't raise my voice. I simply let the moment sink in, knowing I would have to act with patience and precision if I wanted justice. After my husband's death, life felt like a heavy fog I couldn't lift. We had been married for 37 years, and he had been the one who managed everything: bills, property paperwork, legal documents, even small details I never thought mattered. I was 62 years old, exhausted, and suddenly responsible for all of it alone. Each day was a struggle, waking up, handling tasks, and pretending to be strong for family who came around occasionally. My nephew began visiting more frequently during this fragile time. He spoke softly, brought food, offered to help with complicated paperwork, and assured me I didn't need to do it all myself. At first, it felt like a relief. I was weary, distracted, and desperate for support. I trusted him completely, thinking he was genuinely helping. I didn't read each document carefully. I simply signed where he asked, believing him to be a safe presence in my life. I never imagined that this trust, given in my most vulnerable moments, would become the instrument of betrayal and theft. He didn't push or demand. He was calm, composed, and persuasive in a way that made me lower my guard. Just sign here, he said. It's temporary. Routine paperwork, he added, smiling reassuringly, as if he were helping me. He drove me to county offices and notaries, explaining everything in a soft, confident tone that made me feel I was simply delegating tasks, not giving away control of my property. I signed every paper he placed before me without hesitation, believing that family would never exploit my vulnerability. I was overwhelmed with grief, still haunted by my husband's absence, and trusting him felt like a relief. Each signature seemed small, inconsequential, a way to survive the days. I didn't see the trap he had carefully laid. It was invisible, methodical, and precise. By the time I realized, I was already caught in it. The person I had trusted the most outside my husband had quietly taken advantage of my grief, and I hadn't noticed a single red flag. Months passed after I had signed those documents, and at first everything seemed normal. Then, one morning, a rent payment didn't arrive in my account. At first, I brushed it off, thinking perhaps the tenant was late or the bank delayed something. But days went by and still no deposit. I called my nephew, trying to keep my voice calm. The tenant is probably late, he said casually, his tone smooth, almost rehearsed, with no hint of urgency. A week passed with silence on his end. Finally, frustration made me decide to go see the property myself. When I arrived, the tenants greeted me warmly, but there was something off in their expressions. Then one of them hesitated and admitted that my nephew had introduced himself as the new owner and had given them instructions to pay him directly. I froze in my car, staring at the house that had been mine for years, realizing my grief and trust had been exploited, and the person I had relied on had deceived me. That night, I brought every paper I had signed to the kitchen table. Originals, copies, all of them spread out like evidence in front of me. I read each one carefully, line by line, trying to remember the moments I had signed them, the way he had spoken, the calm tone he had used. Then I saw it, the transfer of ownership. My signature sat neatly at the bottom, undeniable. Each detail confirmed it. It wasn't a mistake. I replayed the day I signed it in my head. The polite smile, the soft voice, the sense that I was delegating simple tasks. I felt anger, disbelief, and then a cold clarity. This was deliberate. I had been carefully manipulated while grieving. And now it was clear that if I wanted justice, I would need strategy, patience, and precision. This betrayal was not impulsive. It was calculated. I sat at the table for hours absorbing every document, every line. The more I examined them, the more I understood the depth of the betrayal. He hadn't rushed carelessly. He had waited for the perfect moment. My grief, my distraction, my exhaustion. He had orchestrated this carefully, convincing me to sign away what was mine under the guise of help. I replayed every detail of our interactions, each act of kindness now tinted with deception. I realized that confronting him immediately would achieve nothing. He would deny, manipulate, and likely destroy evidence. I felt the first spark of determination, not anger, not vengeance, but calm, deliberate focus. If justice was to be achieved, it would be done with patience, not emotion. I understood that quiet observation would become my most powerful weapon. I didn't confront him. I didn't yell or make threats. I didn't tell family. People assume revenge is loud, messy, dramatic, but it isn't. Revenge can be quiet, deliberate, and precise. I requested certified copies of all documents, verified dates, notarizations, and witnesses. I made detailed notes and began organizing my evidence. Around my nephew, I acted normal, polite, calm. I let him believe he had succeeded. Every visit he made, every call he sent, I responded neutrally, showing no sign of suspicion. It was exhausting to maintain calm, but I knew this was necessary. Patience is power. Silence doesn't mean weakness. By waiting, by observing, I allowed him to continue believing he had the advantage. And that, I knew, would make him careless. That carelessness would be the key to reclaiming what was mine. Careful study of the documents revealed errors he thought I wouldn't notice. One notarization was dated when I had been out of state attending my sister's surgery. Another listed a witness who had been dead for years. Small mistakes, but fatal in a legal sense. He had rushed, confident in my grief, and my age, assuming silence equaled ignorance. I documented every inconsistency meticulously, cross-checking dates, receipts, and messages. I felt no joy, only calm focus. His overconfidence was obvious now. He had left traces, mistakes that proved he had acted deliberately, but without thorough planning. And I realized that these errors were my opportunity. The person who had seemed untouchable now had vulnerabilities. My path to quiet revenge was forming. I reconstructed every movement, every document, every interaction, travel receipts, phone messages, emails, appointments. Each became part of a timeline proving I hadn't been in the office when key signatures occurred. Dates and witnesses didn't match reality. I spent days meticulously building the sequence, quietly, without alerting anyone. I didn't act on emotion. I acted on facts. Each error he made became a piece of evidence. I kept my distance, continued my routine, and maintained the illusion of ignorance. It was exhausting, mentally and emotionally, but necessary. The more I documented, the more confident I became that when the time came, the law would side with me, and he would face the consequences of his arrogance. Quiet patience had turned into control. He continued to collect rent, believing he had succeeded. He smiled at family gatherings, acted casually when speaking to me, and thought his plan was flawless. But overconfidence often precedes mistakes, and this was no exception. I watched his behavior, noting patterns and contradictions. Every casual remark, every assumed authority over tenants revealed his arrogance. He underestimated the quiet observer in his midst. While he believed he had total control, I was quietly preparing the legal groundwork. He assumed grief had rendered me powerless. He assumed my silence meant weakness. But silence is not surrender. I observed, collected, and waited. And every careless step he took only strengthened my position, giving me an advantage he could never imagine. I found a lawyer quietly, without involving family or alerting my nephew. We reviewed the documents, analyzed inconsistencies, and built a case methodically. Every notarization, every witness, every error became part of the evidence. I didn't act out of emotion, I acted with precision. My lawyer was impressed by the thoroughness of the timeline and the depth of documentation. We discussed strategy, knowing that confrontation without preparation would be futile. I continued my routine, letting my nephew believe he was still in control. His confidence became my tool. By maintaining calm, acting normal, and carefully assembling evidence, I created a situation where justice could strike quietly, but decisively. Revenge didn't need anger. It needed meticulous planning. Over the next weeks, I gathered every piece of evidence, notarized documents, receipts, witness statements, timestamps, emails, and bank records. Each item confirmed what I suspected. My nephew had acted deliberately while I was grieving. The case took shape as a timeline of manipulation and deceit. I worked methodically, making sure nothing was overlooked. I organized binders, highlighted inconsistencies, and rehearsed explanations with my lawyer. Each step brought me closer to reclaiming what was mine. Meanwhile, my nephew continued collecting rent, unaware that every action he took was being recorded and would serve as proof against him. Quiet observation had become my ally. My patience and meticulousness were preparing the stage for the ultimate revelation. While the case prepared, I maintained a facade of normalcy. I greeted him politely, answered messages, and appeared unconcerned. He believed he had succeeded. He collected rent, visited the property, and acted with confidence. But I observed every action. I noted discrepancies in his statements, inconsistencies in his behavior, and every assumption he made about my ignorance. By letting him continue under the illusion of control, I allowed him to deepen his own mistakes. I didn't need to threaten or confront him. Quiet revenge thrives in patience. Every confident move he made became a piece of evidence in the eventual case. I didn't show emotion, but my mind was active, calculating, and preparing for the day he would finally realize his overconfidence had been his undoing. One morning, everything changed. He was served with court papers. The look on his face didn't matter. I didn't need it. I had prepared every document, every inconsistency, every witness account. The legal system would act. While he imagined continued success, I had already shifted the balance of power. I continued my routine as if nothing had happened, but I knew the truth was moving silently through the courts. The quiet revenge I had cultivated through patience, observation, and documentation was finally entering action. He would feel consequences without me raising my voice or creating drama. The system itself was now my instrument, and it would work with precision, words spread slowly. But I imagined the moment he realized the gravity of his situation. His overconfidence crumbled quietly at first. Tenants were contacted, witnesses prepared. The timeline was indisputable. He had assumed that silence meant ignorance, but now reality was catching up to him. I didn't need to gloat or confront him directly. Quiet revenge doesn't rely on theatrics. I observed from a distance, seeing his confidence erode under the pressure he had brought upon himself. Every careless act he had made, every assumption he had believed to be safe, became evidence that would ensure he could not escape accountability. Justice was coming, and he had unknowingly paved the path. The day of the hearing arrived. I sat calmly, quietly, reviewing the documents once more before entering the courtroom. My nephew entered, appearing confident, but I could sense unease he tried to hide. As the proceedings began, my lawyer presented the timeline, notarizations, receipts, witness statements, and every inconsistency. The evidence was overwhelming. He had underestimated my patience, my ability to document, and my commitment to justice. Each point was deliberate, precise, and undeniable. I remained calm, letting the law speak for itself. No raised voices, no drama, just facts. My quiet resolve contrasted sharply with his nervous demeanor, and I knew the tide had turned. Silence had become my power. After careful deliberation, the judge delivered the verdict. The transfer of ownership was invalid. My nephew was ordered to return the property immediately, repay every dollar collected from tenants, and cover legal costs. I remained seated, calm, absorbing the weight of the judgment. My nephew avoided my gaze, defeated not by confrontation, but by the quiet precision of justice. The law doesn't need emotion, it needs facts. Each misstep he made, each assumption of my weakness had contributed to his downfall. The house, the property that had been stolen in the shadows of grief, was finally restored to me. Quiet revenge had succeeded without shouting, drama, or emotional confrontation. It had been deliberate, patient, and absolute. The news traveled quickly through the family. Shock, silence, and awkwardness followed my nephew wherever he went. He had lost far more than money. He lost credibility, respect, and the trust of everyone who knew the truth. I received cautious congratulations from relatives who had suspected wrongdoing, but had not known the full scope. There was no celebration from me, no dramatic declaration of victory. I simply returned to my life quietly, secure in the knowledge that the law and my patience had worked together. The silence surrounding the situation reinforced the power of methodical, calm revenge. His arrogance had been his undoing, and everyone now knew it without my uttering a single harsh word. With the property restored and the court's decision clear, I returned to my routine, feeling a sense of peace. I didn't need to gloat or humiliate him publicly. The system had done it for me. Quiet revenge had not only reclaimed what was mine, but it had also restored my confidence and authority. My grief had made me vulnerable, but it had not made me powerless. Every step I had taken, every document meticulously verified, every act of patience and observation had allowed justice to unfold naturally. The lessons of calm, deliberate action were clear. I had learned that silence, strategy, and precision can be far more powerful than anger or confrontation. My life was mine again. Looking back, I realized that quiet revenge is often misunderstood. People think it requires anger, shouting, or dramatic displays. It does not. It requires patience, observation, and the ability to act only when the time is right. Silence is not surrender. It is strategy. Grief does not make you weak. Age does not make you powerless. The person who underestimated me thought they had total control. But their own arrogance became their undoing. Justice unfolded naturally, because it was prepared carefully and executed calmly. If anyone listening has ever been taken advantage of during a vulnerable time, remember this: methodical patience, attention to detail, and letting consequences fall naturally can be far more effective than any immediate confrontation. Revenge can be quiet, precise, and unstoppable. Tell me in the comments, would you have confronted him immediately or stayed quiet like I did? Subscribe to Revenge with Bernice for more quiet revenge stories, told calmly and honesty's